Well, hello, Valentin, and welcome to the summit.
Hi, everyone. Excited to be here.
We were also excited to see you, Valentin, because I know that you wanted to talk about data quality, and that's really important into the prospecting and outreach world. So the floor is yours. Feel free to share your screen and present your insights.
Good. So thank you for having me to the Prospecting and Outreach Summit and show. Great job with the timing, perfectly on time. So I want to say a few words about me to give a bit more context than given in the video. So I'm Valentin, founder of Findymail, which is a B2B data prospecting platform. So we're basically an email finder, email verifier with some prospecting automation on top for LinkedIn Sales Navigator and other prospecting platforms. And I actually, I have not a sales background, but a technical background. And how I stumbled upon sales is that I built my first SaaS quite a few years ago now, and I had to grow it. So that's when I learned about the existence of sales, cold emailing, and all that. And so I really learned everything like directly in the trenches, trying to do everything by myself. Never had like a sales job. And so I saw the sales market and what was happening as I got the chance to have an outsider view. And I was a bit surprised to see that the best practice back then, and still is right now a bit, was that you couldn't really rely on the data that you get from the most popular prospecting platform out there. And so that especially for emails, for examples, the best practice was to purchase the data somewhere. So Apollo, Enter.io, whatever was the main email finder back then. And then purchase a separate solution to verify the data that you just bought and make sure that you remove everything that was invalid or risky to use. And I found that a bit weird. So I took the mission to create a company that could provide reliable data that you could use right away without any concern that it was invalid. And as part of that mission, I'm actively promoting like the importance of data quality, because a lot of the time, either people don't know about like what impacts the data quality has on their sales process and businesses, and there is a lot of missing education out there. And what I'm seeing as well is that basically sales is becoming more and more technological. So, being able to connect things, automate stuff, and those are not trivial things. And so a lot of technological aspects are lost, and salespeople don't always know the ins and outs of how everything works, and for good reason. That's not the training, but I try to promote that a bit more. And so yeah, as I said, the sales space, like everything else, like in the other industries as well, but basically tech in general is moving faster than ever. You could see that with the evolution of AI and everything, but it started with digitalization and more, and you could see new tools coming up every single day, lots of startups, lots of innovation happening, and it's becoming more faster and faster, and it's hard to always be on top of all that. But the data that you get out of all those different things actually sometimes often slow and unreliable, and you don't always know what's true, what's not. So what we will talk about today is how bad data can actively hurt your business. And if there's one thing that I want you to take away from today, is that at the end of this talk, you should be able to know why it's important, and have a clear picture on why you should pay a little more attention to the data that's going on in your sales process, and have more clues about what you can do about it to make things better. So to get started with that, I would say that the first impact that paid data has on your sales process is that if you have lots of bad data, it gives you noise into what you're actually trying to measure, and that gives you incorrect numbers. So let's say, for example, that you are doing a cold email campaign and that you got X% reply rate from your email sequencing tools. But actually, the way you did your list building, some leads in there shouldn't have been there because the data you relied on was incorrect. So a funny anecdote I got here recently, I saw on Twitter someone posting a screenshot of a reply he got. So that person was selling some kind of B2B services. I don't remember exactly what, but the prospect was replying, well, I'm not interested because I'm actually selling chocolates. And the reason that lead made it to his list and his campaign was that the industry was incorrectly labeled into the data tool that he was using. In that case, that was from Apollo.io. And that means that, irrelevant prospects made it to his campaigns. And that means that, it obviously it's one case, but that happens a lot more than you think. And that means that the reply rate that he measured for this campaign is not really correct. Like, you may think, okay, I got only a poor 2% reply rate, but if actually 30% of your list shouldn't have been there, maybe on the list that was actually relevant, if you actually look at the right thing, you may be having like a 5% or more reply rate, and it's completely different in a way to interpret that. And as you grow, as your company is getting bigger, that becomes more and more of a problem. So because the impact just increases. So for example, if you're trying to do some sales forecasting and you have incorrect numbers, then because you're thinking, okay, I will reach out this many people, but actually you reach out way less than that because a fraction of the emails that you got were invalid. So you contacted way less people than you were planning to. You plan to outreaching to X number of people in a specific industry, but actually some of them are not in the industry because the labeling is wrong. And all of that just lead to decision mistakes because, so if we go back to the example of the sales forecasting, then you may have planned to hire more salespeople to handle the load, but it's not correct. So no, you have overhired or underhired, and that can lead to big mistake like layoff and stuff. And same thing on a smaller scale when you're doing cold email campaigns or outreach campaigns, and that you have incorrect numbers, then you will make bad decisions as a result because you will think this target segment is not interesting, we'll drop it, when actually the segment was valuable, and but just you had so much noise in there that in your list that it decreased your percentage of reply. But if you were looking at the right thing, then that would have been just fine in terms of performance. Or you will think that the issue is in your copywriting and you will change your email copy or script, cold call script or whatever, when actually it's the targeting and data that isn't correct. So, and that is a lot of time spent and resources that you will be spending on the wrong thing. And that's not because you are bad at your job and you're making mistakes. It's because you rely on things that are not correct. And so obviously, if the inputs that you have are not correct, well, it's unlikely that you can make good decisions. Another big impact that we see of bad data is domain reputation. And that has multiple aspects. The first one is email domain reputation. So if you didn't know, if you're sending emails to invalid email addresses and you get a bounce back, then it is decreasing your email domain reputation, which is a big factor into knowing if your emails will land in the inbox or in the spam folder. And so if you're just sending emails to invalid email addresses without paying attention to that, then you will start landing in spam. And obviously that is a big issue because no one is replying from the spam folder. And so you won't be closing deals. And if you don't even know that's the problem, like it's a bit tricky to see why. Like you will change everything, but actually it's just because prospects are not seeing your emails. And that can have devastating consequences, especially if you're not doing the best practice already of doing your outreach from secondary domains separated from your primary domain. Because if your primary domain starts landing in spam, then it's not just your sales process that will be affected, but also the other departments in your company that can have be affected. So, if the emails sent by your CEO is not reaching out to investors to get the next fundraise or things like this, I'm seeing this happening, and this can have really big consequences just for what seems like trivial to keep a look on that. So. And the other aspect is more like a company reputation. So if you're sending cold emails with wrong data in there, it just gives you a bad look. And nowadays with like social media and whatever, people are very prone to give bad examples, showcase bad examples on LinkedIn with screenshots and all that. And so if you relying on data that is obviously wrong, that makes you make like obvious mistakes like this, it just can give you a bad look, and that's something you want to reduce as much as possible. What most companies are trying to get is positive word of mouth. So if you can reduce that negative word of mouth, that's very good as well, because same thing, it's a bit hard to realize that's happening because you won't necessarily be mentioned or anything on those posts or on those chats on dark social, on WhatsApp group and whatever. So it's hard to measure, but it's happening. So pay attention to that. And bad data is also decreasing your sales efficiency, because if your sales reps are wasting time on invalid data, we all got the case of, okay, I try to make things right. I will try to craft a really nice personalized email for that prospect that is important for me. I'll spend the five minutes looking him up, doing some research. I craft a really nice email. I hit send, only to get a bounce back, and I just wasted my time there, and I cannot really do my outreach. And when that happens over and over across multiple people, then it just really adds up. And that means after that, your sales rep are dotting the data, they're double checking, they may not have trust anymore in the data. And that just, all of that is decreasing your sales efficiency. And that means if invalid data makes it to your CRM, then it can impact your marketing as well. So really becomes a mess there. But so that's the bad part, but it's not like the end of it. Like it can be different. That's what's happening if you rely on bad data. But if you pay a little bit attention, data can actually be transformative to your sales process and become your competitive advantage. So that's what we'll be trying to do today. To give you a quick example of that and the impact that it can have, let's say you have two different data providers here. You have a list of 1,000 contacts that you want to enrich with emails because you want to do a campaign to them. But that one data provider is giving you 50% valid emails. Another one is giving you 75% valid emails. We assume the conversion rate will be similar to all emails, which a little note here could be not true. Like if the data provider B is giving you emails that are less targeted, it can give you slightly higher conversion, but we'll put that aside for now. Well, just with that, you can see like 30% more, two to three more opportunities, and just due to that. And if your average deal size is, I don't know, 10K a year or more, then you can really see that it has a big impact. It can have a big impact. And the pricing difference between those two data providers are very likely to be more than offset by the outcome that you get from that. Like it's unlikely that there is a 10K price difference between those two data providers. That is not to say that the more expensive the data provider is, the better, but I just meant to illustrate, that the importance of the data there, because it can have a big impact, everything being equal on your sales process. Like just switching data providers, if just switching data providers can give you a 30% boost in deal flow, like that is very impactful, and that's something you will have a hard time replicate by switching, I don't know, email copy or a subject line or something. And so this is really something, a lever that you can play with. So how to pick a reliable data provider? I don't want to turn this obviously in a promotion for my own product, but obviously for emails, that's exactly what we're trying to do here at Findymail, providing reliable data. So if you need emails, definitely check us out. But the thing you need to do is really be auditing the data that you get from your providers, and that means testing manually. So if you get like company data or anything like this, go and check it out on LinkedIn or everything on Google, and check if what you got in an automated manner is actually up to date. You don't have obviously to do that all the time, otherwise there's no point using tools. But just take a sample once in a while, every month or two, take a sample and check if what you get is actually good, because if not, maybe you're actually relying on updated data and you may need to look somewhere else. And especially in terms of emails, you may need, as I said, in the best practice, to complement with a verification tool. That is, if you're not using Findymail, because we do that. But you need to know your bounce rate. So if you don't track that, you definitely should have a look to at least know that number. And if it's higher than 5%, then you really need to look into decreasing that very fast, because if you're not fixing that problem, it will become a huge issue when you will start landing in spam, because again, it's hard to get out of there. And so you really want to prevent it rather than to fix the problem once it arises. So again, if you have more than 5% bounce rate, definitely pay attention. I don't think we'll have time for that. But if you are interested about the technicalities of email verification, I can do that in the questions. And we'll just finish here with that. So the data quality should be something promoted across the overall sales team. So you need to be training your team on what I just said here today. You need to make them realize everything that I've said, the importance of data quality and the impact it can have, because again, people don't often realize that. And so you need to make them aware of that. You need to challenge, again, your data provider, depending on the test that you've made earlier. Challenge them, ask them why that data isn't up to date, ask them how they get their data and their strengths, their weaknesses, how often it is updated. Look for other solutions if needed, be on the look, and really enforce high standard of data quality and hygiene, especially in the CRM. So really make sure that your sales rep are updating data with valid data, and that they're not letting the CRM being really outdated, because that will just be a mess to fix later on. So really have processes and procedures, and make sure they stick to it, so that the data that is in your CRM and your other tools really are correct, because that's what they will base their decisions on. So yeah, hopefully you learned a thing or two, and I'm available for all your questions now.
Let's look what I have. We have like 4 questions for you, Valentin, which is perfect looking at the timeline. The first one was that what if we already have damaged our email domain reputation? Is there a recovery procedure?
Yes, there is, but it will take some time. So if that is your primary domain, you obviously you don't really have a choice. So the first thing that I would do is put your domain in a warm-up system. So there is many services out there that are providing that. You Google email warm-up, and how it works is basically connecting your inbox to a pool of other inbox and sending messages automatically and creating legitimate traffic. So people reply to each other, and whenever you land in spam in someone folder in someone from the pool, they will automatically mark you as non-spam and mark you as important and everything, just to send the signal that it's okay, that domain is okay, not spam. And
got it.
Obviously, you need to also reduce or stop completely your cold outreach during that process, and then just cross your finger that it's getting lifted.
Yeah, crossing filter. I mean, Google can be very harsh when you get penalized, but that was the question was here. Another question to Valentin. Do you think that in specific cases, quantity can beat quality when it comes to data building?
Well, the thing is, so obviously the more the better, but as we've seen in the presentation, a very small percentage of that data is much more impactful than a lot of good data. What I mean by that is that the threshold is very low. So if you are above 6% bounce rate, for example, that's still quite low, but it can have a very big impact. And actually, the more you increase in volume, the more you want to be paying attention, because if you're not doing the right thing at low volume, you're unlikely to be doing it at high volume, and that can have a much higher impact there. So it's even more important to pay attention, and you can't improvise when you're sending 10K, 100K emails per month or more. You can't improvise about that and don't pay attention. It's actually even more important to make sure that you're doing somewhat things correctly.
Got it. I do have 2 more questions. How can we leverage sales data to gain deeper insight into customer preferences and behavior? And how can this knowledge be used to personalize our sales approach? So the sales data for the approach. Well, if you want, I can repeat it, or it's into the webinar chat, so you can actually look at it, because...
Yeah, well, it's kind of a broad question here. So not sure what actionable insight I can provide, but one thing I would say is that if the more data that you collect, the more that you will be able to learn from and act on it later. So, for example, if you're doing multiple sales channels and you track performance across the different channels, then you can see, okay, for this target audience, it seems that this or that channel is working better, etc., etc. And so having that data available, and again, make sure that it is accurate.
Yeah,
you will be able to learn stuff and adapt accordingly to optimize your performance.
Got it. I think that the question, Valentin, was more that what kind of data can we use to personalize the outreach? Because one is the data that you can use to get some insights on what's the best way forward, but then other data is that can be used to be more specific, to be more personalized in the sales approach, so you can get hopefully more responses.
Okay, well, yeah, in that case, there is it will be depends on what exactly is your offer, your target audience, because it's really become like the details. So like you should know your audience and what's relevant to them. But some ideas that I can throw around that I see used is, for example, look for people that companies that are hiring for a specific role that your solution is kind of replacing or can help with. You can look at data within the company. So, for example, one thing I like is if you're outreaching, for example, to a CEO or a manager, you can mention an employee name that is from their team. I think, do you think employee name could benefit from this? And if you send that to the manager, it just shows that you know a bit, you made your research, you made your homework there, and it's easy personalization.
Nice. And then the last question, Valentin, that I had was that what strategy should we adopt to use the sales data for predicting the marketing trends? So we talked about data from personalization, data for insights, but data for predicting marketing trend and maybe making sales forecasts.
Yeah, get a broad questions. I think sales forecast and marketing trends are two different topics. So for the sales forecast part, I would say that it's really you can do a sales forecast once you're sure that one, your numbers are correct, and two, that you can repeat whatever results you got. Replicate, yeah, the results that you got in the past. And once you know that, and you can predict what's going to happen, if I do this, I get this output, and you can see that it's exactly what's happening with somewhat accuracy, then you can start project that into the future and say, okay, if I hire one more sales rep with the same playbook, then XYZ will happen.
It becomes predictable.
Exactly.
Perfect. Valentin, I really wanted to thank you, because it helped me even as well, because you gave a nice overview how a bad data can corrupt your whole business, and on the other hand, how a good data can actually make you more competitive on the other hand. So it was a really nice contraction between both of them. Thank you again for coming as a speaker here.